Hey everyone, my name is Lat and I'm here with my group members Mel, Jenny, Nicole and Tang. We're Group T from UNSW and we're here to discuss theories for high-performing teams. So what are teams and why teams are relevant in today's age? As the world continues to experience social, technological and economic changes, demands are being placed on organizations to keep up, leading to extensive utilizations of teams. Teams are groups of two or more individuals whom interact independently or dependently with each other to achieve a common goal. It is believed that groups of individuals are better at decision making, problem solving, and information sharing. With great emphasis placed on teams, organizations are able to achieve more goals, satisfy internal and external demands more promptly, and expand on shared ideas, paving way for innovation. However, not all teams are effective or high performing. There are certain variables that explain and describe why certain teams are more effective and thus higher performing than others. Aspects that define high performing teams are clear goals, through agreement of objectives, strong leadership or management, including self management, and leadership that facilitates self management, high morale, through strong bonds between team members, and innovation and creativity through convergence of information and perspectives. From defining these features, we'll look at theories which can potentially give more explanation as to why a particular team is more effective than others. There are numerous theoretical ideas which can be applied to a team to improve its performance. The theory that conflict can be beneficial to team performance has been discussed in various research articles. These studies suggest that under certain circumstances, task conflict but not relationship conflict aid the performance of teams. Theorists believe that task conflict promotes open-mindedness, flexibility, creativity, and greater understanding of unpopular perspectives. This theory, however, has vast limitations in that only in certain contexts and environments can task conflict be beneficial, and that conflict as a whole hinder team productivity. Another theory suggested to improve team performance is the theory of deep-level team composition. This theory states that team members who share same values, attitudes, and psychological characteristics, such as the Big Five personality traits, are able to better employ their knowledge and apply them to complete a task. This theory, however, is only applicable in certain types of teams, in that only specific types of teams perform better with higher deep-level composition, while some teams perform better with higher surface-level composition. Although these theories are relevant and applicable in their own ways, we believe that the wisdom of crowd theory can be better applied and be more impactful to the broader organizational scope, and thus we have chosen this theory as our main theory.
The wisdom of crowds theory delineates that the aggregate opinion and ideology of a large group of individuals results in a judgment more accurate than that of a single individual within the group. There are three key types of crowd wisdom: cognition, which includes thinking and information processing, coordination of behavior, and cooperation, which involves accommodating one another and sharing resources. It is important to note that not all groups are wise or effective in making judgments. There are four key features that distinguish a wise high-performing group, such as a team, from an irrational low-performing group, such as a mob. Firstly, unlike a low-performing team, a high-performing team places emphasis on decentralization, which is characterized by drawing on private local knowledge. Furthermore, a high-performing team highlights the notion of aggregation, whereby the team aims to aggregate individual judgments into a collective decision through means of finding the average. On the other hand, a low-performing team is characterized by division, whereby information is withheld from other team members, and thus a collective decision cannot be reached. Moreover, a high-performing team emphasizes the notion of diversity of opinions through varying age, gender, nationality, and level of expertise. On the other hand, a low-performing team is typified by uniformity, where there is no variance in approach, information, or thought process. Lastly, a high-performing team places emphasis on independence, whereas a low-performing team is typified by emotionality and subsequently conformity. For instance, each individual's feeling of acceptance will decide the amount of peer pressure, evaluation apprehension, and herd instinct evident in the team, and subsequently the intellectual conformity. When a team demonstrates decentralization, aggregation, diversity, and independence, they are able to make highly accurate judgments in notions regarding quantity estimation, prediction, general world knowledge, problem solving, decision making, and spatial reasoning.
The empirical study here is an investigation for applying wisdom of crowds in companies' decision making and problem solution. It uses sequential exploratory mixed method. There are 2 stages, and first is qualitative, and it involves 8 managers, and second stage is quantitative, and 27 senior managers are involved in. For the qualitative investigation, 8 participants are involved in, and 6 of them are in face-to-face interview, and the rest 2 are interviewed via the internet. All the answers about wisdom of crowds are recorded and transferred into the conclusion. In a quantitative investigation, 27 managers are given expert survey, and they are required to finish online questionnaires related to the wisdom of crowds, and lastly collecting the results. The wisdom of crowd can benefit the value being felt, dealing with future risks, cooperation, and agreement on decision collectively. Since wisdom of crowds can improve the feeling with the company, and it increases the collaboration of the crowd to participate in many processes in company, not just the risk for developing products. It can also increase the value of cooperation, and after giving equal weight to opinions, crowd is more likely to accept the decision.
With 12 students participating in the Desert Survival Study, the DSS, Deacon's study analyzed the impact of various interpersonal factors that would either enhance or diminish group performance. These findings were established through personal and group member performance reflections completed by each participant during a discussion phase. This phase consisted of qualitative and quantitative results provided through written feedback, highlighting students' positive impressions of their own interpersonal skills as well as those of their teammates. The simulation was created in order to demonstrate teamwork, decision-making, and synergy, and thus establish the ability of group performance to outperform individual performance. This case study focuses on the relationship-oriented process in problem-solving, with emphasis on interpersonal cooperation and skills. After being introduced to the simulation, participants were asked to individually rank the items in order of importance. Then, after groups of 4 were formed, they completed a team ranking. Teams were then given the expert ranking and were debriefed. Individual and group scores were then calculated, and a feedback survey was completed. Finally, the groups discussed the implications of the experience. Participants ranked 8 interpersonal skill-specific questions and 5 open-ended questions regarding their own participation. Overall, there were no great differences between participants' assessment of their own and each other's participation in the DSS, as they favorably rated their participation as well as that of their group. Interpersonal skills were dominantly viewed as enhancing factors to group performance when evaluating and deciphering consensus during the simulation. The study successfully allowed for participants to evaluate their own group contributions, and in each group case, the team score was better than the average individual score. This proves that synergy and cooperation were holistically achieved. The positive quantitative and qualitative results in the questions establish the progressiveness of interpersonal skills and their ability to enhance group performance.
As evident through the empirical evidence and the case study, the wisdom of crowds theory adequately explains how high-performing teams excel over individual efforts. However, there are a few drawbacks that a team needs to be mindful of in order to achieve the highest success. The first is the common information effect. This concept explains how teams spend too little time sharing unique information and only spend time discussing shared information. This is true for 2 reasons. Shared information is simply just more likely to be mentioned. And additionally, discussing shared information is easy and makes us feel like we are accepted. The other limitation is groupthink. This concept explains how there is a constant pressure towards uniformity in decision-making within a group setting. There is also an illusion that all decisions made are unanimous, even if someone is in disagreement. While these are definitely setbacks, there are many ways to solve it within a corporate setting. Appoint a team leader as information manager to ensure that unique information is being shared. Suspend initial judgments on members of the group. Frame the problem that the group is solving as an information sharing problem so that members are willing to share their thoughts and opinions. And lastly, minimize status differences by creating a psychologically safe environment where members feel safe to speak up. With these 4 factors in mind, the wisdom of crowds theory will yield a high-performing team that is efficient, productive, and successful. In summary, high-performing teams are defined by decentralization, aggregation, diversity of opinion, and independence. The wisdom of crowds theory explains how the opinions and ideas generated by a larger group of people outshine that of the individual. And, if implemented correctly, this theory can bring many benefits into a corporate setting.